Hi everyone! Today I'm going to be reviewing my first nonfiction book on here. I do enjoy reading nonfiction, mostly if it has anything to do with history or science. Even better if it's history of science. I like that stuff. But today it's going to be an historical nonfiction book called The Darkest Jungle by Todd Balf. I have a morbid fascination with stories from the 1800s and the 1700s that involve exploration or sea travel that end badly. If it is an ill-fated mission where the crew is badly supplied and they're in a really hostile environment and there's a really fair chance of cannibalism on the horizon, then I am game to read about it. It's kind of sick. Anyway, this particular book is about an expedition that I had never heard of. And I don't think many people have. I think most of those survivalist stories, like the Essex in the book In the Heart of the Sea, about the whaling ship that was sunk. They just had a movie about it last year, I think. And all those polar expeditions, like this is one that you don't really hear about. It's the Darien expedition, and the area of, it's the Isthmus. I can never say this word. It's called Darien, and it's in Panama, and it was those first attempts to try to see if they could make a crossing in Panama from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean, so they wouldn't have to go all around Cape Horn. This is a solid 60, 70 years before the Panama Canal. And there were many expeditions. I don't know if you can hear her in the background, but my daughter, I just put her to bed. And she's not wanting to go to sleep. Again. Anyway, okay, The Darkest Jungle. Sorry, I had to reposition my camera and delete most of what I just shot because my computer started messing up and I sounded like an alien. So I had to start all over again. Alright, let's see if I can go from where I was in my train of thought. I don't know if that's going to happen. So, The Darkest Jungle. Things that I liked about The Darkest Jungle. I enjoyed the subject matter. I found it really refreshing as far as the genre is concerned, because most books that talk about explorative missions of the 19th century, I've never read any of them about Latin America. Or South America, actually. I've only ever read books concerning polar expeditions. I love those. I don't know why I love those so much, but I do. And Africa, but I've never read anything about this particular area. And apparently, it was a heavily explored area. Like, well, not heavily. They couldn't. Every time a group went in, they always ran into really big catastrophes. Either, 2 or 3 of their members died, people getting sick. It was a really unlucky area. And in fact, a whole big group of Scottish people tried to establish a colony in the area in 1699. And it was pretty much like the early colonies, Roanoke. Everyone just died. And it was horrible for Scotland at the time because they put a huge chunk of their circulating currency into this expedition, and it just sank like a rock. It was bad for the nation at the time. And so this area, even though all these things, it was just bad thing after bad thing. I don't know why my fan is on here. Let me turn off my fan, my overhead fan, because it's probably going to be a really funky shadow if I don't. So that's definitely the best thing about the book is the subject matter. If it's something that interests you, if this era interests you, it's definitely a side story that is worth picking up because it's unique. Bad things I did not like about the novel. He meanders a lot in his writing in the first half, and well, not the first half, maybe the first quarter, and then the last few chapters of the book when he's talking about the men and their lives following their rescue, the ones that survived the Darien expedition. Sometimes I think because the area, there's such a rich history, especially of European and American exploration in that area, I think that he just got caught up in all of his research and he just got tangled in it, and you have to like sort through the threads as you're reading about this expedition, try to figure out why he's tying in certain things in the first part. But when the expedition actually gets underway and they're all suffering in the rainforest, that's when it becomes a page turner. I know that's horrible. It's horrible. I know it's horrible, but it definitely it's fascinating, that part, and their rescue, and he's got some good maps that you can keep up with as you're reading, so you know where the different routes of the different people who were there are. But then those last few chapters dragged. I sat there and I was like, okay, we get it. We really don't care about this guy. He was mentioned like twice. Like, can we stop talking about the random seamen who came with you? Like, it's no. Let's just keep on going. So that's the one bad thing. And it really actually, it hurts the novel. Not novel, it hurts the book. So I would give it a 3 or 3.5 stars out of 5. And I would really only recommend it to people who might find the subject matter interesting. If none of this is sparking anything in you, if you're just kind of like, why is this girl talking about this book? This isn't interesting at all. Then don't bother. Don't bother. But if it's something that does interest you, pick it up. It's a quick read. It's like 300 pages. It's really fast. And like I said, the middle part, that part about the actual Darien expedition led by Isaac Strain, is worth reading because it's very interesting. And it's a very little known part of American history. You don't really hear about, before the 20th century, what America was doing in not just, well, we hear about what was happening in Mexico, but we really don't hear about what was happening south of that, and the American involvement down there, good or bad. Let's be honest, it was mostly bad, but that's why we read, so we don't repeat mistakes of the past. Yeah. We're ending on an iffy note here with this one. Very iffy. But that's The Darkest Jungle for you. Hope to see y'all again soon. Bye.